So the next concept is kind of that drive family. Is what I'm referring to as shark cage, just a shallow crosser head trips. What this thing is you're getting the through route we discussed earlier for number three. You're getting the shallow from two, and then number one, whoever that is, usually it's gonna be some sort of running back type body. Is running what I call stall under. So he's gonna skip off the ball, delay, and then run the 5 yard under. Now recently the Rams changed this to like a 12 yard dig. I don't think it really matters because the ball is not going there. And what it is, it's going there for like 3 yards of play. Okay. So uh real quick, it's only a trips play. Okay, with a lot of different bodies over here, but it's only a trips, and it's always the scan side, right? So it's always going to be some sort of smash or fade out or something quick here, and the quarterback's just scanning straight through it that way. And it's pretty easy to scan for the quarterback. So he's going through route here, the shallow, wherever it is, to the under or the dig, wherever you have backside. You can see, it's pretty efficient, pretty good play for him. The attack, I'm a little debating the attack because I'm not quite sure where it hits because it depends on the coverage. Okay, but I do think it's a pretty solid like 3-man scan too play. I like it against one because two reasons, right? Depending if you pick for the shallow is pretty good, but I really like this high crosser against cover one. One rat, obviously the opposite. Don't like that kind of stuff. Cover two, it's shown to be pretty good. You end up high lowing the mic on the post and the shallow if the two players and squeeze back on it. Same thing against three is you end up high lowing the weak hook if they don't take two back. 3 fire zone four, it's all kind of the same. Where I don't like it is stubby. Okay, stubby, I think is a pretty easy pickup. Right, he takes the mic can take the shallow. You got a guy on the post, and then he's kind of sailing out there. So I see the numbers on the right. Good distribution on where the ball went to. Couple different tags. A lot of times in empty, when they stay in empty, you'll get a vertical one and out, and the quarterback will then just straight progress through it all that way. Like I said, I would put the worst player here on this concept because he's not getting the football very much. All right, so a lot of times the running back, sometimes it's Higbee. The ball, if it hits this side, is generally staying between these two players. You see like one rat type stuff. It's not great. Can get covered pretty easily. We talked about in the past, really like running like almost more of a pick dig for this thing if it's a clear man. They don't do that. They stay with their normal through rules and all that kind of stuff. But here's it playing against Tampa, right? So through rules are running the inside post, unless it's middle of field closed, then I'm running the high cross, right? It's very obvious middle field open there, split safety defense are on the post. They do a good job, right? The hook player takes two back, right? So they cover this pretty nicely. I really like this kind of variation of running some sort of smash down here to clear it all out. So it just directs the quarterback's eyes quicker to this route. So you're 1 to 2. You're really kind of canceling this side and just going 1 to 2 to 3. Right, so the ball should end up going. It's covered pretty well play side. The ball should end up going on the stall under route. But they like this from normal trips quite a bit. And then they'll stack 2 and 3 as well and run it, which I think is a nice little change up. This could be the most common version from empty is running fade out. And just like the chug stuff earlier, if he's viced, he will just sit in the quarterback. We give it to him now. So the reason I really like this against cover three is you end up high lowing the weak hook guy with the high cross. You want this thing a little bit higher, 25 yards out of bounds is kind of the landmark. So you end up, let's say he's here, you end up high and lowing the weak hook guy pretty good on this type of stuff. So quarterback takes it, he'll go 1 to 2, wherever the through route is, depending on coverage, 2 to the shallow 3, to the stall under. You see the running back playing it here is 4. I really like this with a running back here, right? Because you get your best 4. If those are your best 4 receivers, get them in the positions that matter. Really, these 3 are the positions that matter. Put your worst 2 guys as the clear out vertical. and then the stall under here. So like this against 3 quite a bit. Like this against 1. I think it functions against 2. I think it's okay against 4. Now look. So this one's covered pretty well. The 3-up player takes 3 on the through route pretty nicely. He breaks out. For whatever reason, Cup sits. I'd want him to just continue on the shallow and go win the race on the hook player. Right, he's got to squeeze 2 back. I like that matchup of my receiver on the mic across the field when they weak rotate. So here's one of those things you talk, hey, Cup, we're running the shallow unless, right? Shallow unless the boundary's crowded. Right, the boundary's uncrowded, nobody's there, keep running it. Keep running the shallow. That's much more explosive than the 4-yard catch and tackle. Same play. You see it more as like how I'm teaching the through route here. They're not running the crosser, they're running the inside post here to clear it all out. See the Cougar up top, right? Cougar being fade out, and he ends up being viced. Right? It's just some sort of 2 read palms type concept here. So he ends up sitting it down in space, which is nice. The issue is, as a quarterback, if you start reading this side first, you're gonna be too late to throw this inside post quite frequently. It happened, I forget against 2. But he stayed too long on the Cougar. The post was open, but he just didn't get back into it in time. Right. So QB wise, you'd have to, as an OC, decide like what's more important, this side, and then kind of just vacate this and then just go straight to shallow, or kind of kill this side and just read the strong side the whole time. But you see like a stubby tight pickups pretty easy for the defense, right? Mike can take the shallow, the nickel could slough off of it and just play the stall under now, right? With the safety over top of the influence post. Here it is again. You see a good through route example against 2 high from Cooper Kupp in the slot. 12 yards, stick your foot in the ground, run a post to the opposite hash. Now the hook player has to take 2 back. You just get that little bit of leverage against him, right? It's not an explosive play. You're trying to hit that post, right? That's the much more explosive version, but the mic does a good job of sinking. You'd almost want to run some sort, and they have done this in the past from tire splits, is run some sort of like jerk route to really time this thing up, to really clear it out and be able to catch the ball away from the weak hook guy, weak hook defender. So something to think about. Maybe there's something better here. Maybe it is like a straight return route. That might be better than a shallow. Now I think about it, I'm just kind of top of my head. There's something better to do there. I'm not quite sure what that is though. Water. So funny thing about this play, this is the backside dig shallow, like swing concept, and they're gonna end up tagging the remaining 2 players with different could be that chug, like choice go type thing. It could be smash variations. Like you have different things you could do with these 2 players, and those could be your first 2 looks, and then you end up scanning this backside as your 3rd look. Okay, so about this, I used to like love this. So like, oh, this is the smartest thing I've ever seen. And then I watched it, and then you end up stacking the zone quite frequently, and there's nobody open. Like you're never gonna hit the dig. These numbers are way off because I think AJ Brown caught one. I think he caught a dig for like 80 yards, right? So like these numbers are not really indicative of where the ball is going, right? They called it 20 times, the ball was thrown the dig twice, and one was the AJ Brown one. So what this is like flank wise, I call it like a across the ball one. So I'm taking an element from one side of the ball and mixing it with the other. So like mesh would be that kind of type thought process here. You got the shallow come from the point man and bunch. They can switch it, but generally it's coming from the point man and bunch. You got dig coming backside. You got check swing from the back. So what this is like a 3-man triangle backside. The issue is you end up by not wheeling him, he always has to sit. Like he has to sit because you have a flat defender and check swing guy sitting right here. And then he ends up sitting like on the hash or on the ball frequently, and that's where the dig is. So
If you want to make this play work, which I'm not sure it is worth it, but if you wanted to make this play work, you could either wheel him, like check wheel him because he's not getting the ball anyways, just to drain this flat guy and really get this in out. Or the shallow has to sit way like NFL like top of the numbers. Like he's got to be way out here to get this hook curl backside like we've talked about over and over. Let me try this slip. That's your hook. That's your curl. But same thing, right? Like you can't stack the zone here offensively. You see, like my grades are pretty brutal, like lots of fours. I just don't know when it's open. It's like coverage wise, like man, it's gonna be tough to throw a third look dig. Rats obviously terrible, and everything else you just keep stacking the zones. You're bringing guys right there to it. So this first one, they have it with one running the shallow, and then these guys are running Ricky, which is the return corner. Right, generally the ball is going to this front side look most of the time. Okay, where the two-man tag is. But you can see this backside portion what they're building. They're building the flat, the dig, and the shallow to scan back into as your second or your third look side. Okay, so but generally, right, this thing was called 20 times, and the ball was thrown here 15 of those times. So like the ball is staying, whatever this front side tag is, the ball is generally staying up there. And you can have fun building leverage, like fun leverages and stuff like that based off who's taking who in the point. So they're running smash down here. And this the way it's typically run with a point guy running the shallow. Right. So whatever smash choice games you want to run with the remaining guys in the bunch, you can do that. Like some fun beaters. Like this is a red zone play that pops up. Same play here. You see in Rat's obviously pretty bad because the shallows are running into people. You see what I'm saying? Like he's sitting on the hash a lot of times. And now you're just stacking the hash with two guys. Like he needs to be out here in the curl area so you get a proper hook curl. Now it's man, so it doesn't matter. Like the zones don't matter anymore. But if it was zone, you can't be stacking the same areas, guys. Seeing against cover two, right? Obviously, the two player does not need to expand out there. He should be sitting here. What ends up having those, you get the three player working to the three-man side. So he ends up taking the dig. He ends up sitting on the shallow. And obviously the flat defender has a flat. So here, I talked earlier about high-lowing the field flat guy, be it in flood or smash or whatever sort of high-low you want to the field is difficult, especially with how athletic they are. Right, they're able to like split the zone pretty easily there and catch that football. Now they're running their corners and stuff a little different on these. They're running a little bit flatter, which makes it even harder. Like like I said, you want in a high-low 20 yards of separation. I think that's like the bare minimum to high-low somebody is 20 yards of separation between the low piece and the high piece, especially to the field. Okay, that ball's gonna be in there a long time. I don't know what the math is, but like how much ground could a 6 foot corner cover? Probably quite a bit. Just by jumping up and down, he can cover, I don't know, 10 yards at least by himself without moving. No, I'm just kind of making that stuff up as I go, but sounds right to me. Same thing from that stack we talked about with Shark earlier. Same, you see it. I mean, they obviously lose their back in protection because of the mugged up look. But now you're stacking. I mean, you're stacking the zones. And there's nowhere really to go with this football. So I want to like this play. I liked it forever, and then I studied it. It's like this makes no sense. There's nowhere to go with the football. You're just bringing people right back to the hook curl. There will always be a hook and a curl defender based off how they're running and distribution of routes underneath. Same thing, right? We got a bust, I would assume, from the safety. Everybody looks like they're playing three. He should be the weak hook defender. And once again, you're stacking the zone on top of the dig. But you see it up top, right? You got different variations. You can do different sorts of smashes and returns and that kind of thing. I do like that they're wheeling the back here. Like that makes sense to get the flat defender out. But now he has to keep going. Like he can't sit on the hash. At least you could theoretically drain this guy. But him, he can sit in the divide or top of numbers. And now you're getting good distribution on top of those guys.
to scan back into. Same thing. You just see everybody's just kind of running into people on the water side, backside. And now you have just once again, just another version of smash. So quarterback wise, it's always the tags, the smash side, the front side to the backside water. All right, the classic. All right, America's play. I drew it up here from tight just because that's how we always ran at UNC at 2x2. These guys will stack it, and that will change the rules a little bit. But mesh rail, right? Full field play. The timing of it's full field, right? Because you got the full on scan. These guys, talking about the Shanahan offense, really targets man with this, almost to the point where I think it might be a can. Like it's always paired against man. Yards per play has been good. Efficiency very good. Something to think about is these numbers are UNC numbers. I don't have the Shanahan numbers in front of me on the right. This ball, I think, like of the I don't know, we'll call it 10 reps I have against man. I think it went to the mesh coming to the rail like 8 of those times. Like it did not go anywhere else but the rail twice and the mesh coming to the rail. Right. It's like the ball is very clearly trying to get to those two guys. Obviously against zone, it's a pretty easy pickup. Against cover 3 world, you could have that type thing, but this thing is very targeted towards man. So they're changing it. So they're always going to the strength and tight end side. I say always 95%. There's one variation where they're not. They're going to the tight end side, and then the stack adjustment would be anytime you're stacked, the off the ball guy's in the mesh. So he's in the mesh, he's in the mesh. The strong side, other guy would be on the OTB, and the weak side stack guy who's on top of the ball around a corner. I say all that, and this is a different variation of it. So I should say the Rams are running it that way, right? But the ball is um, generally going to the mesh. If it's not going to the mesh, then it's going to the. I'm sorry, the ball is going to the rail sometimes, right? If you have it, take the rail. If not, the ball is going to the mesh coming to it. Sorry, I jacked that one all up. Here's how it's mostly run. Okay, so what we have here, we're in the mesh, we're stacked, we're off the ball, we're in the mesh, we're OTB, strong side number 1, right, and they're on the corner to clear out the scout, whatever you want to call it. He's not in it at all. And you're always going to the tight end side, you're always going rail, the mesh coming to it. That's really your read. Right, if you want to get technical, that would be your third. So go 1 to 2 to 3. Everybody's America's play, everybody's running it. They're motioning it, canning it. You see the can signal, right? We're going to the second call. Everybody's in man. Here we go. They're ratting out to the 3 receiver side. If you knew this was coming, you also want to rat it out to the off the ball 2-man side down here. Like I said, the ball is going railed in your mesh. Again, 3, they zone it off, so they're able to pick it up. The 2-2 players in the cover 3 world, the 2 hook guys. Once you drain the mesh, once you drain the flat guy, you'll a lot of times be able to throw the OTB between them. It's fire zone, right? So they're 1 short. It's even harder for the defense here. That should be where the ball goes. But quarterback wise, rail to near mesh to OTB at 12 yards. One more look against cover 3. You can see how it's picked up. Picked up pretty easily. As far as the rail and the mesh, the issue is we picking up the over route. Hard to find this thing against other coverages. Right here, they're showing man free, so it's probably checked into it. Ends up not being man free, but that's okay. We can function in cover 3 pretty easily with this football play. Some simple variations at a bunch. You'll see these guys run on third down. Rams will run this play as well. Third down, good goal line applications. Right, let's see if I can stop it. So same basic rules. So nearest two guys are in the mesh. Number 2 to the strength. Inside out is going to be on the OTB, and now you're tagging Z corner. So we got a corner route, and then we got a flat route. So this is a good play to break the huddle quickly. They'll do it. The quarterback is reading just the high-low, like the smash concept with the running back and the receiver to the near mesh coming to it. So it's good against man, good against zone. Right, good third down play, good goal line play for him. You'll see a lot of teams run this type of concept. Another look at it. A lot of teams like to put the running back or the receiver running back here to give him a quick shoot throw. All right, defense does a good job of zoning this whole thing off front side. So I'm corner, no. Flat, no. Mesh, no. Far mesh, yes. All right, you got a fantastic job of getting to your fourth look here as a quarterback. Smash, no. Near mesh is all crowded. That's a pile of shit. And then go into the far mesh going away from the concept. Right, and then you get your true blue. This is only good against man. It's not even good against rat. I think they might pop this one against rat, but this is good against pressure man. Maybe 2-man. Any sort of man where there's not a rat in the hole. You get the true blue pick. I mean, this is just mass chaos in here. So the nearest 2 are in the mesh, all the same. And now you got an extra guy in the mesh and then an OTV over top of it all. And then put your running back there. Just tell him just to keep running until the whistle's blown. And this is a true blue, straight mass pick play that's only run against man. All right, so double mesh from the strength side, OTB from the strength side, and the closest to the ball on the weak side is running your mesh, and he's the one who's going to get the ball. Just like a true blue mass pick, I'm only running this against man coverage. The rat gets eaten up just by the pile of men. He doesn't know who to cut. All right, and that's what will happen. Same thing here. They're lucky to get this thing batted down. Right, you see your stack adjustment here. Stack adjustment means the off the ball guys now are in the mesh. You're the clear out. You're running the corner. Strength side guys are all the same. Mesh, OTB. Love this against man coverage with no rat. Don't like it against anything else. Great job. They're in double rat here. Great job of covering this thing up. The same rules apply. Stack guy, off the ball, you're in the mesh. Even better here because now it's a running back running it against a linebacker. The linebacker will never be able to keep up. But fantastic job by the Cardinals here of double cutting this thing, understanding what's about to happen, and cutting it from both sides. That's awesome. That's awesome defense there. All right, so this is the play. This is the backside of chug a lot of times. Okay, so chug is the very first thing we went over. That was your corner or your go, however you want to teach it, and then your choice. Okay, so that was the first look side, and this is the very, very common second look side on a lot of concepts for this offense. Rust is a return and a scout. Okay, so a scout being if you're split, a 12-yard stop, cloud convert to a fade. If you're compressed like he is here, you're going to see the same landmark. So you're thinking a 12-yard out cloud conversion. Okay, a return route, which you can run a couple different ways. Okay, you can run it like a choice, run the out for 4 steps and come back in. You can run a straight 4-yard out, 4-step out, 4x4 and come back in. However you want to run it, but you're running like a fake out and then whip back in. Okay, with a check swing coming from the backfield. So this is almost always a 3-man concept play. Okay, could be from bunch, could be from a lot of different things. This is always your second look side. So it's something here first. Whatever you want to put here first, this is your second look side. There's not really any sort of zone attack. It was called total 66 times, and this side was thrown 13 times. Okay, so that's not all bad. That could be that these are just opening up a lot. The issue is the yards per play and efficiency is really low. And I'll show the film why. Okay, This is one of those plays that's run a ton, and I think there's better things out there. Because what ends up happening, any sort of zone coverage, you end up running back into defenders a lot of times. So like quarters, right? They'll push it to the flat, and you're running back into the Mike who's going to pick you up. Cover three, same thing. You're running back into the weak hook guy. Like you end up running back into the cover two guy. This return route comes right back into him a lot of times. Another thing of note is they don't utilize the scout route. I think they threw it in they did throw it in the playoffs once. And I don't have that on here, but like besides that, they don't throw this route ever, split out or from condensed. Okay, so they don't utilize the yes no portion of the play. So really, it's one. Sorry, let's go yes no. So this is your alert. Take it if you have it. If not, it's out. Doesn't exist anymore. Then you're going 1 to 2 to 3. You can see like my grades are pretty low. The reason that some of them were higher is if you utilized the actual scout, you could throw that against cover three and plays over. Just go throw the speed out, the stop plays over. If not, these things get bumped like 4s and 5s just because you run back into people a lot of times. So it's one of those really common plays that I just don't see ever opening up. So here's a lot of these plays I showed earlier when I talked about the chug, the choice up top with the go. Same thing here against man. There's no runaways. He gets compressed. Obviously, a choke versus a return route is going to be pretty brutal. You lose your back in protection, which doesn't really matter in man. But the ball goes up top, so hooray, I guess. One rat, same thing. By not utilizing the scout route, you're just like basing off a return to win. And the issue with the return, obviously, isn't sell enough. You want to take 4 full steps that way, especially because you are the second look side as a return runner up top. So you can take your sweet time here. Run a 5-yard out for 4 steps and then come back in underneath. Same thing though, like you're obviously not going to win on the man guy with that type of technique. And then the issue with the rat is you're running right back into the rat defender. One more look at rat. Back's coming across. Right, they're going chug up top. Chug from normal splits, right? So you have a go from the outside guy and a choice from the inside guy. You can see Cup stemming outside like we talked about earlier to open up the slant window. He's running a slant unless he runs a slant. The whole defender takes it away. Okay, so Stafford resets to come back down to the rust side. Down here is his second look. He's going to return to swing. So choice, return, swing would be this whole thing tied together. And this thing will be called a lot from go watch the Vikings. Like this is a very, very common football play from normal splits or from sort of tight condensed area. He doesn't like the return route, so he ends up scanning it all the way back to the swing route who came from across the football here. Right, there's like an O call, an opposite call. This is one of those plays that I would love to talk to them about. Like, what do they like this against? I don't know. Up top, you have a choice tag being choked. We haven't gone over that. Go over that a different day. But down here, you get the rust, right? So one's on the scout. You could convert that if you want to. It doesn't really matter because the ball's not going there. So I would probably take the conversion off just to not have to teach that portion of it. Return route from 2 is going to run right back into the hook player with the swing route being picked up by the flat defender. Right, so the ball stays up top, so it doesn't affect the play. But to me, there are a lot better second look type options than this football play, than this 3-man tag. Once again, running into cover 2 up top, looking up top. Down here, we have the whole shot I covered earlier. Looking up top, there's nowhere really to go with the football in cover 2. Okay, just running back into people. Cover 3, how it plays out. All right, the flat defender will take the swing. The hook guy will then take the return out, running right back into him. Ends up throwing it up top to the 2-man tag concept. Same thing, right? Running back into people. This just seems like a ton of work for 4 yards, 5 yards. I get to hope Devin White just does this and doesn't pay attention. And you're able to catch it back on him. Play out against quarters. especially if the back is slow. He doesn't, especially coming from across the football, and the back is slow, doesn't pull the string fast enough, and the mic doesn't have to push. Like he's not stressed to push this way fast enough. You end up really running back right back into people. Right. Obviously, the back doesn't get out because of where he is and the rush. So you end up really stacking the zone with a flat guy here and the return route. Like, same thing, right? We're working really, really difficult to get 4 yards. Up top against quarters again. Ends up winning back on the backside choice. Kind of a choice, kind of like a half-ass choice where he has to win inside, but ends up winning backside on the choice. The good thing here, right? If you want to like try to promote the play, you say, okay, well, if the mic takes this away, then we're going to throw it behind them. But that's like typically not how this play unfolds. So here's our different return routes they use. So Russ is the one that's went over, but this is it from bunch. Is the same spray scout we're talking about by 1. 3 is running the return route, and then 2 is running the seam. Doesn't matter. You can put me there and do cartwheels. Like you're not getting the football. You just keep going. You might as well just run through the end zone. Just keep going, man. You're not getting the football there. But you put any 2-man tag you want here. And I really like it. I like this one. Any 2-man tag here you want, picks, beaters, whatever here, and you end up just scanning back to the return route. You could yes no this if you want. That's not really, I don't know, undecided on that. But really it's 1. The return route is 2. These are all just clear outs. Same thing here. So Rogue just takes the rust, takes the scout off of it, and you're just running a go. So this is a true clear outs. Same idea though. Put anything you want here, and then scan back into the return route coming from the 3 and bunch. Router, I like router from tight plays, tight formations, and then like short concepts of the boundary. So let's go with that sticky that keeps popping up. I really like to just scan straight through this thing. So 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. And then you can release the back. Okay. So that to me, I really like, because I really like this concept here of keeping the ball 1 high, right? We went over a little bit with dirty. It's the same thing, like keeping the ball here in 1 high. So here's the rust from trips or from bunch. I'm sorry. So you're getting your scout, you're getting your seam, and you're getting your return. Really good job of the flat player screwing back down on the return route. Right, not a great throw, but it's really, really good coverage. We went over this one earlier, right? So this is chug rust. So I'm here, quarterback wise to here. That's it. This is out. I know he's his hands up, but he's out of it. It's 1 to 2. Like really simple type reads for the quarterback. Good play by defense. Same thing. We have a scout route, we have a seam, and we have a return route. What I really like from this play, especially if you're on bunch choice, is to sell choice, right? So what are we saying? We're saying outside release, skip release to 5 yards, find the outside hip of the 2 player, the 2 runner, the vertical runner, what you'll call them. Sell the out for 4 steps and then come back in. So like make this look like choice, like he does here. That looks like choice. He breaks out. You can even take another 2 steps. I'll take 4 to come back, right? Because you want this thing delayed. And that's your second look. Up top, right, we can do whatever we want with these 2 guys. Here they have a date, what I call them date, which is a dig and a bait. So dig with that bait, top of numbers at 5 yards if you're matched, break out. All right, so really easy for the quarterback. I'm telling the quarterback what to do. Like, hey, look, however we want to teach this 1, 2. That's your third, right? Put your worst 2 players here, tell them to keep running to the whistle's blowing. Same thing from earlier. Right, the flat player does a great job here jamming and just kind of getting caught. Like he gets beat so bad, it ends up working out. Like good on him, but it's the same thing, right? I'm running choice to return down here. So I really like this for teaching purposes. It's super simple for the quarterback, straight progression. I don't care about coverage. I don't care if there's 19 people on the field. Like I'm going boundary tag to the return route for number 3, and that's it. This stuff's awesome. So these guys run a good amount of kind of date or globe that I talked about is glance with that bait. So bait's 5 yards top. I'm sorry, bait is 5 yards top of the numbers. The boundary if you're matched, that's a bait route, right? We're trying to bait somebody to screw down on us, so we hit stuff behind them, digs, glances, whatever it is. So they run a lot of glance bait. So here, what they're doing is they're faking it. So he's running the glance. He's running like a stutter, like he's selling the bait and then running the rail of the field with the return route coming right back behind it. So quarterback wise, your glance 1, your bait pump 2, right? This could look like choice. If you run a lot of weak side choice out of this 2, show choice, start your feet and then run the rail 2 to the return route coming from the bunch is 3. There's a fantastic clip of them. I believe I know they ran the bait pump. I'm not sure what they ran up top with Debo this year against the Broncos for a big play. It's a fantastic route. He comes out of the backfield. He sells the bait. He sells the choice. What do you want this thing to look like? And he ends up running the rail and toast the linebacker. So this is what this concept is here to me. Your glance, you're here, and then at the end of the day, if that's all covered up, they do a good job. Then you have a nice trusty return route to throw it back down to. So to me, obviously the bait pumps open down here. Take it. That's why we're calling it. But if not, we have a nice trusty little return route to come back down to. Right, and everybody else is just run goes. Rogue is return and goes. Very creative. Another look at that same game. We motion to it. Like this one to me is coverage, the opposite. Right, you would love to switch these reps. Up top, you're on the glance. No, covered. The bait choice pump is covered, whatever you want to call that, but the return is now open. Same thing down here on the return out. I want to sell choice on an outside stem at 5 yards. Go run the out for 4 steps and then come back underneath. He's really, really fast. He takes like 1 step on the out. I want to like understand that you are the second, third look, right? You have time, go sell the out and then whip back underneath. But at the end of the day, it is a nice route. You see how quick he is in another break. I just want to technique it just a little bit differently. All right, so here's the router. Here's the return and the through route I like. So right now, your shoot stick to the through route to the return route. So up top, we got router being that through route, right? Post or the crosser. All right, and then you get the return route, and then you have a motion now. So I like this because now you're able to capitalize on this space up here in 1 high once again. And now the ball comes out to the sticky so fast, it doesn't matter. But the quarterback can just straight just go boom, just go all the way through the reads and return out coming from up top. So same thing in the ring with slant shoot. I don't want this route. I would want the crosser to be higher, right? Running out of bounds at 25 yards, which is like down here. But you see that space opening up here. If this corner screws down this thing harder, right, the quarterback would then look here as a third look. Feeling like that, and I'm late in the down 4 to the return route. So straight progression. Right, it's fun because now you can change up what you're doing with these 2 guys. Arch is right, arches, whatever you want to call it. That's like double slant, but they're compressed together. A lot of times you'll get a motion over from bunch. Right, so these guys can stack onto each other, be pretty tight, and create the leverage to win on the spray slant. Pretty good play for him, right? You end up same thing. You put a guy in the hook, you get a guy in the curl. That's the attack, right? Yards per play is pretty good. Efficiency is good. The shallow to me is not in it. Like if you get like mass pressure, the shallow can be in it, but usually it's not. I'm going purely to slant to whatever my backside 3-man tag is, because this only involves twins. We see it's a pretty good football play. Really liking its cover 2, right, for the hook curl aspect of it. Away from the 3-man side. Good against man if you can get the leverage you want. Obviously bad against a rat and some of those other things. Probably could be higher here against fire zone stuff if you like that matchup, because that's where the ball is going. 14 out of 21 reps, I'm sorry, 13 out of 21 reps. This two-man tag was called. It was thrown to the spray slant. So a couple looks. Right against one, it's obviously pretty good. Here's your motion from bunch. This is a very common way of running it. Love against your linebacker. Spray release, right, up to 5 yards. You tell them 3 steps. However you teach your slants, I would teach it the same, but I do want to spray release to get his hips open and then to further open up that window in here. Number 2, just running your shallow like normal. And up top, typically it's paired with seam comeback. Not my favorite. Like, there's a really difficult second and third look throws. I'd probably go some sort of curl flat or return or something up here. There's something better than this. Really good play. They personnel it different ways. Down here, no motion. They're just stacked up on top of each other, right? And you see the dangers in once you start ratting this thing out. Right, once he realizes this thing's getting caught, then he becomes the new rat. And I have seen picks off this thing just like this. But I really like it from stack if they're not in rat, because now you get leverage on the outside player to win back on the slant underneath. Just a way to throw double slants from compressed. And up top, I'm going to go over that in just a little bit. A stick nod from compressed or from stack. Same thing up top. Once again, now the shallow guy doesn't see, he doesn't rat out fast enough, right? So it's fine. If they're not going to utilize the rat, then we really like this play against man. Then it goes up even more, right? Because there's a lot of space back there. Outside stem, get him open up the space and cut back across his face at 5 yards or 3 steps or however you typically teach your slants. Same thing down here, though. You can see it's a seam and a comeback, just not good. You want to talk about stacking the zone, right? Offensively, now you have a guy here and a guy at 12 yards. Like, if they were in zone, right? Now you're stacking the zone against yourself, and one guy can cover 2 pretty easily. So for a while, I didn't know if this was more a choice thing or if they were predetermining this at trips, right? Because now they're doing it with these 2 guys and they're running comebacks on the outside. But all my Cubs have him coming back inside, so I do assume it is this double slant concept and not a true choice. I think you can very easily do the choice out of stack just like this, but that's not what they're doing. Same thing, if you can beat the rat defender, you like this play. The hole defender, whatever you want to call him. If not, it is a dangerous play. Like I said, I've seen interceptions, but the ball is going there, right? It's going 1, and then somehow you'd scan it back into a comeback, which is not very appealing to me as a second look throw as a comeback. It's like a very much a timing route. Right, but you're selling choice. It's just like a predetermined choice you got to cut in, is how you talk about it. Like, there is no more choice. You're selling it, but you have to run the slant. There is no unless. It's run a choice and run a slant. All right, big catch and run against man free. Core stubby, they can obviously drive it from up top. You'll catch it, you'll just get blasted for about 3 or 4 yards, depending on how tight they're playing at safeties. Right, that's why some of the stuff is better from bunch. We can get them off the stubby world and get them into true like box calls and softer calls. If they're going to stay matched in stacks, then you don't like this as much. You might have to go to bunch if they're going to stay. They're gonna stay matched even in bunch. Then you gotta go start going picks and stuff like that. Get them unmatched. So here's why I do like this play as a setup play, because now you're selling that choice, you're selling that arch, you're selling that slant, and now you're double moving them and going vertical with the return route coming from number 1 back underneath it. So quarterback wise, you're just 1 to 2. Right? They weren't able to hit on it. We can see the intent, how open it is. Right? When these guys start getting used to it and start sitting square hipped, right, feet in the ground here, then you just want to stutter them and go. So I do like this concept as a true man. Like, I would not call it against anything else but man. If it's not man, then we're canning it to the second play call. But I think it is a a nice little constraint to play. Yeah. All right, so stoner, stick nod. Another play that's called quite frequently that just does not have the production I probably want from it. Okay, so I have it drawn up from normal trips here. Same concept, right? A lot of time you'll get a ton of choice, like a very common play for the Rams. Just put a cup right here, right? Give him the chug, the choice, and then the quarterback just going straight through it, right? So you're 1 to 2 to 3. The issue is, right? So this is a 3-man play. It can be run from a running back type thing with the running back as the return route, right? So ignore him. You can run it that way with the running back. I've seen that frequently. You're kind of getting a hook high low is the intent of the play. The production's high. I think there's some catch and runs in here that kind of throws it off. The fact that it's called 77 times, it's been thrown 14 is a little bit scary. Now that means the choice is winning frequently, which is fine. But as I watch these plays, I'm just not sure. Like you see a lot of 4s. It's kind of like that rust play. Like you're kind of running back into people to me a little bit. I just think there's better returns type concepts out there. So obviously with the one stuff, with the post safety, you're not high lowing anybody. You just got to win on a return route, which is whatever. It's fine. Against 2, you're kind of running back into people. Against 3, you're running back into people. Fire zone, the return has to win. 4, like all these stuff, you're just kind of running back into people. The thing that it is good against is going to be stubby. Because now you get that high low on that guy, depending on how hard the safety will drive the nod route. You really want him to lift, and now you're able to win on the return route against the nickel who's outside leverage. But like I said, you can play with these 2 guys once again, do whatever 2-man tags you want to do here, and just know quarterback wise is always scanning back 2 to 3. The fade, put your worst player here and tell him to keep running. He's not getting it. So by far, the most common variation is to put choice go opposite of it. So your chug, your choice go, and now you're running stick nod here. Against man, right? The choice doesn't win. Right, which he gets clamped here pretty good. The choice doesn't win. The nod is not going to win against man free with the post safety, so the return route and then has to win. Which he does a pretty nice job there. The issue is like when you win a return route against man, you're getting 5 yards. You're not getting much more than that. There's a lot of work to get possibly 5 yards against man coverage. Against 2, you can see you kind of just running back into people. The nod's going to run back into Mike. The return's going to run into the 2 player, the hook player. And the 2 player does get some depth here, so that helps you. They're going choice down here. He sits between the 2 players. Goff doesn't like it. He goes nod, no to the nod, and then back down to the return. So it is an easy progression. It's just, I think there's better concepts than stick nod as a second look side, right? And this is a second. They're not looking nod first. Like they are always looking stick nod second in the progression. Same thing here. You get creeper 3, right? You just got to be running back in the hook players. You're running back in the post safeties, all that kind of stuff. Same thing is true, like old school nickel inside of 2 quarters, right? You end up running right back into that 2 player, the curl player, what do you want to call him? Fred Warner takes all of 3 by himself, right? So some sort of like carry call, but the chug ends up winning. Like I said, like I'm not super thrown off that the ball's only gone there 14 times because that means a lot of times the front side tag is winning. So here's kind of combining 2 tags we just talked about is your arches is down here, your shallow slant concept, and your stick nods up top. But you can kind of see just kind of running back into people in a lot of true zone coverages. Let me see how this. So you kind of like the slant here. I think the safety driving the slant scared him off the slant, which is the issue down here. And then he goes nod, no return, no, and then gets back to the nod, of course. Throws a dart.
So man match 3, got skinny stuff down here. They stay matched up top. Just wins on the out route. You get tackled for 3 yards, right? Kind of like the issue. This total play is not going to be good against one rat, right? There's going to be nowhere to go with the ball in one rat unless you like the return out to win. A lot of motions to get back to it. So here it is against Stubby, which I do like this against Stubby, depending on the depth of the safety. If the safety does play deep like he does here, doesn't drive on the nod, you have a chance to hit the nod. You also have a chance to hit the return route, switching his outside leverage nickel. You kind of like that. So the quarterback stays on the chug, which is fine. He went inside on the slant, which is what you want. But if that was taken away, then he'd end up going nod to return, to which he probably has both of them open here. So I do like this play a lot against Stubby. And then you have to ask the question, is that worth carrying for one coverage that I would like it against? Probably not. So I believe this is my last thing, is all the different vertical concepts at a bunch and stacks and stuff like that. And I group these all statistically together. Okay, so we'll see a couple different variations, but switch would be switching 1 and 2 routes. Swap is switching 2 and 3. All right, so it'll make more sense as I go through it. But and I have all these with reads on them. That's how we did it in the past. Obviously the NFL is not reading as much. They're like locked goes and that kind of stuff. So something to be aware of. But what are we trying to do here, right? These are different vertical switching and swaps and trades and all that fun stuff. Okay, it's obviously a full field play. A lot of times you can kill the X on shallow if you really want to keep the quarterback's eyes here, which I think is a good idea. The whole point of this play, right, the attack, is to uncover the seams. The seam in college being from hash to divide. So it's the same land as a curl, right, zone. It's just now you're in that like 18 to 25 yard landmark for a seam, right? It's a little bit deeper, but it's the same thing. You are hash to divide. In the NFL, you're talking about being from like divide to the numbers as the quote unquote seam. Okay, so yards per play is pretty good, efficiency is good, and the ball is scattered pretty good. Now there is an issue once you start doing motions and jets. The underneath players start getting so much depth that the ball does go to the flat quite frequently. So I think there's ways to take advantage of that. Screens, draws. I really like the angle route coming back underneath it if they're going to get depth. I think there's different things to do there, but something to remember. The whole goal, right, to uncover the seams is to allow this to win. Okay, that's your explosive play, no matter how you do it. Against quarters, that is obviously capped. Against 3, that is open. Against 2, that could be open. Okay, so against 1, the seams are always covered, so you have to go to your go reads. So that's kind of the thought process is, hey, this is a seam attack, but if the seam is covered, then I have really good isolation plays, or which should be good isolation type calls on as well. And then last thing about like why I do like swapping it at a 3x1 is the issue is in true 3x1, ignore him, have him run a seam read. The issue in true 3x1 four verts is everything kind of happens at the same time, right? So you could not go 1, 2, 3 this way because you'd be really on the seam. So you have to go seam 1 to outside guy 2. Through route really does not exist. When you start swapping it, because you're coming from depth and hitting the seam, now you can really look at this thing first, see if the through wins. If it doesn't, then I'm going here, then I'm going here, right? So it really allows you a 3-person progression. And then, like I said, you can quick tag this if you like your matchup, take it, or you can shallow him, whatever, to get the quarterback's eyes to all stay on the side of the field. So good play. I grade it out pretty good. Obviously, the seams are going to be open. It's a great play in these types of coverages. If the seams are closed for whatever reason, there's a human being standing here. Then at the worst case scenario, we have one-on-one isolation type plays to take advantage of. So the through route being the exact same through route we talked about earlier. I'm running an inside post and 2 high, and 1 high, I'm running the high cross. So just going through the coverages, when you don't read the outside guys, like these guys are locked obviously on goes, he's not even looking for the ball. You do have issues because now in cover 1, there's really gonna be nowhere to go with the football. You have to take a 1-on-1 fade shot. You don't have the opportunity of running the read route
portion of the play, not as good of a play. Okay. And that's why the ball ends up going to the flats quite frequently. If you're a jet team, this is obviously pretty good stuff, especially if the force players are playing pretty aggressively. Then you're able to slip the force and now uncover the seam that way. So it is good quarterback wise. I like looking through to seam to the what I would have to go read, but they just have as a straight go here. Back down to the flash or fourth option. Backside, that has to be like I have to be playing corner against Devontae Adams for me to take that. If not, ignore this. This never exists. And I'm going keeping my eyes straight here. All right. So worst case scenario, the thing about this play that's good is you end up getting the ball to a good player in space a lot of times, 1-on-1 against like an outside linebacker or whatever. And then you end up getting maybe not 10 yards, 15 yards like they do here, but you end up getting 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever it is, yards. Really good success at this play, UNC. Same play, same look, same everything. See how the seam's uncovered, right? So if I was coaching this guy in the through route, one high, I'm pre-snap one high, I'm thinking cross. Okay, beautiful. That's bad drawing. I'm thinking cross, running about 25 yards. As soon as I see rotation spin, I'm thinking keep this thing vertically and run the post the opposite hash. Just to keep him, I want to keep him out of the seam, right? I want to occupy this guy and keep him here because I'm not getting the football now in 2 high defenses. Keep the mic on this side and open up that seam right there. To me, that seam's open, right? If we're defining the seam as divide to top of numbers, divide the numbers, that seam is open. Ball should probably go there. Who am I to doubt Aaron Rodgers throwing that Jamal Williams? I think he just threw he covered 2 hole shot to Jamal Williams about 35 yards down the field. So what do I know? But yeah, to me that seems open. The ball needs to go up and down right there. If not, realistically, no human being is really throwing this football, and the ball is coming back down to here. But I think it does start with a through route. Running the correct route, I think would help open up this play even more. So we're canning it for whatever reason. I'm not quite sure the criteria here to can it to this play, but I like this play against this defense. Same thing, just off different protection, right? We're faking counter pro. Ends up being the exact same thing. Ends up being another hellacious hole shot right there. Up top, they have like the 1-1. They'll do this. They'll take like the 1-on-1 slant, or if they're compressed, they'll run a speed out. A lot of times, they'll just take the ball and throw it out there and make it 2nd and 5. But for whatever reason, he didn't like it. Leverage, I get it. Right. So now you're going go. You're running the through route, and now you're running the seam from where you are. Through, nope. Seam, no. For most human beings, that's probably not a great throw. And you're getting the ball to flat. Now, this is what I do see happening quite frequently is the underneath players are turning and running, or at least getting great depth up to like 15, 20 yards. And I do think there's a possibility for some sort of angle back underneath to take advantage of all of them getting so much depth. I don't know, angle, be really cool to, I don't know, some sort of jailbreak, maybe jailbreak from the other side. I don't know, there's something there. We ran draw at UNC off of it pretty successfully. There's definitely ways to take advantage of this getting depth that these guys probably aren't doing a fantastic job of. But send me your cool ideas because there is cool stuff off of this out there. I just haven't discovered it yet. Beautiful look at the seams uncovering. This is why I like this, right? Because you can look through to the seam. And it's a very quick seam throw. Like it's not like the 25-yard seam throw. It's very quick. Quarterback's gonna poke the ball, take 3 steps, go through. No. Seam, yes, plays over. Right? That's about as open of a seam as you'll ever get in between the layers of defense. Beautiful look at it right there. Another look of him taking the through route. He likes the through. Right? The cross running bounds at 25 yards is beautiful. Take it. If not, go seam. Seems pretty covered up here. They actually cover this one really well to the strength side. Dang it. Hold on. We're coming. All right, so they cover this pretty well. Obviously, the string side here. They just drop the through route, right? And that's why you kind of like this, is you have multiple shots to hit this thing. Once again, another look. Seam route. I actually cover this one really well. He ends up hitting the through route between the two guys. Once again, though, you see the space back underneath the hook players getting depth. Maybe the running back or the swinger. The jet guy here back on an angle route is kind of what I'm thinking. But it is a nice little pickup in three fires, and they actually covered it pretty well. It's a hell of a throw. Right, you'd like that two player up top to kind of squeeze this thing a little bit back underneath this thing. But it's the reason why I don't like locking these guys on goes, right? Because that's kind of the space. I guess they're kind of getting into it because they're throwing down. But we just run a drop out and come back out of bounds at 15 yards, right? To kind of hit that space, that dead space out there. He will just catch and throw, like I said earlier, the slant. He'll catch and throw the, like what I'm calling smash, is the compressed 5-yard out, and then plays over. A really nice look at the through route against too high defense from the tight end. He's just running a post the opposite hash at 40. Right. So if Aaron Rodgers didn't like that, he'd probably go post to seam, back to the back. Like I said, right, defense has gotten pretty good at this stuff. So you do need some compliments off of it. I think it's a pretty obvious motion if you don't run jet a ton. It's probably the most common occurrence of this play is the defense getting so much depth. They're in quarters, so the seam's closed anyways. They're getting so much depth that the ball just ends up going to the flat route, and you get your 4 or 5 and move on. So here it is, same play, just they're not motioning to it, you're not jetting to it. You're just swapping 2 and 3's assignment. So 1's on a go, 2 is now on the through route, and 3's on the seam. Right, I don't like this stuff as much. I think the pickups of it are pretty easy defensively. Obviously, they're in 2-man, so it doesn't matter. But even in zone, I think if you watch the cutups of this without motion, without the back running it, without all that kind of stuff, if you're just stagnant, 3-by-1, it could be while on, while off, whatever. If you're in any sort of stagnant 3-by-1, I think the swap between 2 and 3 is a pretty easy pickup. The more football I watch. Right, 2-man here, so it doesn't matter. There is no swapping of assignments zone wise, but I think it is an easy. I do believe it is a pretty easy pickup defensively in most zone coverages. I just don't want to show that to show like they do normal swap as well without all the jet stuff. Right, so switch is getting compressed. So switch, the same idea. Right now you're just switching 1 and 2. So 1 is on the through, 2's on the go, 3 is back on the seam. So just a different variation, a different swap, switch, whatever, trade variation. I'm not exactly sure why one is better than the other. I think if anybody knows, please tell me. But it's the same idea. You're going through route as 1, seam as 2, and now the go as 3. Okay, and with the back as the 4th. So it ends up being the exact same read. You're just kind of switching who's doing what. And like I said, if anybody has a reason why you'd want to do this version as opposed to swap, please let me know. Offensively or defensively, I'd like to know. Because to me, I'm always trying to eliminate stuff. Like I wouldn't do both of these. I'll do swap. That's what we've done more of. But if there is a good reason to do this, let me know, please. Same thing. 1's running the through. You can see how vertically is on the inside post against too high. 1 on the through. 2 on the go and 3 on the seam. Once again, you see how much depth they're getting, right? This is a very common thing. Look how much depth they're getting. So some sort of screen, jailbreak, draw, angle route. There's something out there that takes advantage of this. I mean, it's so much freaking depth. But you end up swinging down there and getting a one-on-one tackle at 4. It's a pretty good tackle, but we kind of like what we see there. One last look at that, I believe. Right here, you see the seams uncovered. This is kind of the risk you take when you take the now throw, the access throw. You lose the explosive play of hitting the seam down here. No, I think I got one more for you. I lied. So here you go. You see with the X on the shallow call, we got a different motion. We're getting the same thing. Through, go, seam, and then shallow to keep everything down here for the quarterback. Seams uncovered once again. All right, it does take some time from the running back spot, though. You just have to have some sort of anticipation. Obviously, protection is a massive issue of this, but it is a really good concept. Last thing I'll show, and the Green Bay is the only one I've seen do this. I think this is awesome. Like this would have helped us at UNC. We did a good amount of bunch. But anytime the back was to the bunch, it was run bubble, like a high majority of the time. So I think this is a fantastic complement of verticals, right? Go, you run the through, you're running the seam at running back, and 3, you're on the bubble, right? With the backside X as the shallow. So if you're a bunch bubble team, I think this is an awesome complement to that. I think the read's a little bit different because you're pumping the bubble. It's almost like a bubble and go. You're trying to go 1. I don't believe the through is probably in it, to 2 on the seam, right? To 3 on the shallow coming back underneath it. Right. I think this is a really, really cool idea. I've not seen other teams do it. There is more film of it. Please let me know. I think it's a really good constraint play if you're a bunch bubble team, especially with back to the bunch. All right, so I'm pumping it. As a quarterback, I'm pumping it, reset, outside, seam to shallow. Same look. Really nice through route by the point guy in bunch. Okay, too high, I'm running a post the opposite hash. He's not in this progression quarterback wise, but it's a good example of a good through route. So right, you're outside, your go to seam now to flat to shallow, I guess you could say. Quarterback's a little bit late here. He's looking at the X side first. Devontae went 1 on the slant against cover 2. You kind of like that, depending on how hard the weak hook defender is playing it. Yeah, I really like this. And he's good football player here. Last play, same thing once again. See the pump, trying to get the ball outside, seam, flat, shallow. Appreciate that, guys. If you have any questions, I know this is long, pretty dense. I'm trying to pump more of this stuff out as I go. If you have any questions, comments, any cool film ideas, anything you want to see, please do not hesitate to reach out.